Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank. Member FDIC, our amazing partners in Possible here at KC Sports Network. I am here with Maddie Lane on a beautiful Monday. Maddie, how are we?
So I'm doing great. I'm glad that we were a couple minutes late getting started here, so people get some snacks and get locked in before we get rolling. And you know what? I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good coming off the holiday weekend. Had a nice time. We were both traveling. You know what? Can't actually. We want to get into the show because we have a loaded show today, and we've consistently, and by we I mean Craig and I, because you hate him. When we do these shows together, we go over 60 minutes trying to fit in these positional rankings, and we have a big show today. There's a lot on the docket, so I don't want to waste too much time off the top. But I got to say, since here at KCSN, we are essentially like the highest level of gas station experts, I feel like we got to talk about our experiences over the weekend because despite going entirely different directions in this country, you and I stopped at gas stations within like 30 minutes of each other absolutely randomly, and it was quite hilarious.
Yes, we did. You within 30. Oh yeah, because I get what you're saying. Not distance-wise, 30 minutes. Because I just would have found a way to come see you and the fam. We both had high-level gas station experiences, and we both had you had a Buc-ee's experience.
It was a bad one.
Tell me how your Buc-ee's experience is, and I'll explain what I went through.
I am a huge supporter of Buc-ee's, number 2 to only Tucker, D. Franklin. The D stands for Buc-ee's. And I got to say, I will never be stopping at this particular Buc-ee's in Florence, South Carolina ever again on a holiday weekend. It was a madhouse. I knew better. I did, but there wasn't that many people on the road. There's a tropical storm coming through that was actually hitting right, like the rain was hitting then. I was like, oh, the road's not too bad. Maybe Buc-ee's won't be so bad. I can get some decent food, get out, stretch my legs. No, it was a madhouse. It was a absolutely terrible experience. It took 25 minutes just to get to a gas pump because everybody's parked at the gas pumps and then going inside. Well, then people, even the men's restroom had a line to get to use a urinal. Every food thing had a line. The cash register checkout was super long. Wife couldn't even get to the bathroom after waiting in line for 15 minutes because the women's restroom line was so long. Just never again. I'm sorry. I love Buc-ee's. Shout out Buc-ee's. Any non-holiday weekend, if I can convince the wife to try to go back, we will be going back. But I will never step foot on the floor in South Carolina Buc-ee's ever again on a holiday weekend. Can't do it.
I am sorry for that. I cannot.
You don't have 3 hours.
I cannot express that my experience at a Wally's was that bad. Mine was incredible. And I did not know what...
Is their logo a little robot?
No.
Oh, they're missing out. I guess Disney might get mad, but...
No, it was a bear. And here's what it is. So there's this... A Wally's is essentially Buc-ee's without the traffic. Is really what it is. It's identical. It's huge. Roughly the same exact layout as a Buc-ee's. I'm talking carving stations in the middle. There's jerky walls. There's a giant fountain drink. Everything is laid out. Where everything is laid out exactly like a Buc-ee's. The merch is over on the same side. They got a full-size camper in there. That's a lot of fun with a lot of little fun forest animals. And they have the brisket. They have a brisket carving station right in the middle. And I was lucky enough to get to the one in Illinois. There's only two. There's only two out there. There's one in Illinois, and then there's one in Fenton, Missouri, which is, I think, west of St. Louis. There's only two in the world right now. But it's the same layout as. And I was lucky enough to get the brisket breakfast tacos from Wally's, and they were tremendous. We got all kinds of stuff there. Had a great little stop there. There's one. Here's the good news, Maddie, and this is why I'm very excited. It's coming to Independence, Missouri in 2026. We will have a Wally's in Independence in 2026.
Listen, look what happens. KCSN has the official gas station scale, and now you get a Buc-ee's coming nearby and a Wally's coming to you. So, hey, I'm just saying, y'all talk down on the gas station scale, and we're getting stuff done over here.
I also sent a picture of the. I also sent a picture of the nicest Shell station I've ever been in to Maddie when we were on the road too.
You did not.
It was a Shell.
You sent me a picture of a Shell gas pumps outside of a different convenience store. 100%. 100%. That was a different convenience store with Shell gas pumps on the outside.
I mean, Maddie answered it is what it sounds like, because you would definitely count it if you were trying to do the opposite. So, keep arguing for the sake of arguing. Special. Anyways, we do have a lot to talk about on this show.
Well, we're gas station experts. Got to give the people what they want.
Yeah, exactly. Got to lead with that. But we really do. We do appreciate you hanging out. We hope you all had a wonderful 4th of July. I know I did. I was out Michigan hanging out with the fam. Had a great time. I know Maddie was out in Carolina, South Carolina, having a good time. So I hope you all had the same too. Okay, so a lot to discuss on this show. We are going to talk a little bit about our lessons learned from the Week 5 game against the New Orleans Saints. We're going to do our top 10 interior offensive lineman rankings. But we do have to talk about one specific interior offensive lineman before we even get going, and that is, of course, Trey Smith. The Kansas City Chiefs have, depending on when you're listening to this, about a week left until they have a chance to get an extension done with Trey Smith, the guard. Some might even consider him a top 10 guard or interior offensive lineman. We'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. But yeah, Maddie Lane, the timeline is closing. The opportunity, the window is closing for the Chiefs to get something done with Trey Smith for 2025 and beyond. How you feeling at this point in the summer?
Same spot that I've been. We are now kind of deadlines make deals, right? An age-old saying. We are firmly in the window in which the Chiefs like to get a lot of their extensions done, especially players that end up on the tag that are not expected to hold out. This is kind of the window that they are aiming for to get this stuff done. We are down to, I think, 8 days as of right now, or I guess 7 full days, because we're like, this day is essentially over. So yeah, I mean, it's coming up. Things are getting a little tight, but as long as we don't get to that final day, nothing really changes for me. This is about when I thought it would be done. It's a little interesting that there hasn't been a lot of buzz about the two sides getting closer. I will say that. And typically by now you would hear Rap Sheet or somebody come in and say, the Chiefs and the Trey Smith people have come back to the table and they're trying to get close, they're getting closer or something. Like, we haven't gotten any kind of real update on it, but I'm not concerned at this point in time. We're just going exactly how I guess we expected.
Yeah, last year the Chiefs came to an agreement with Creed Humphrey on a 4-year, $72 million deal in August of 2024. That was, of course, a year early. That was them getting out ahead of things. So if someone is maybe looking at the timelines of, how the Chiefs operated last year, they don't have that same luxury that they had last season, being able to kind of get out ahead of the Creed Humphrey situation. They basically have to get it taken care of in the next week or so. There has been some buzz, and I see some people, T. Smith bringing it up. Ricky says it's on the goal line, and if Ricky says it's on the goal line, it's on the goal line. That was.
I can't wait to see what Andy Reid trick play shovel pass has up his sleeve to fumble the ball away and not use Trey Smith if we're at the goal line. We're gonna get Colin Saunders pick off of some trick play instead of running behind the guy you want to sign.
Oh, hey, look, that's a call forward, I think is what they call that. I don't know if
foreshadowing, but sure.
There has been someone on social media that has been getting a lot of things right, a lot of NFL buzz correct, and does believe that the Kansas City Chiefs have it very close to the goal line. That is Ricky Slick Rick on social media. He was kind of like an NFL burner, essentially, that's just gotten a lot of stuff been out ahead of a lot of different things. I do hope that he's right. I would like to see Trey Smith get an extension here with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think I'll hate the process if they don't, honestly. I think I'll be very disappointed in the process that they got to if they aren't able to get something done, with Creed Humphrey with Trey Smith before that deadline. I mean, if they don't, Maddie, how do you feel? Because I think I'll be disappointed and frustrated with the process.
Oh, listen, we got a lot of Trey Smith talk, I think, to have once we get to our rankings, I guess. I think there's a big conversation about where Trey Smith sits there. So I'm going to save some of this for that. I got to keep a little something in the holster for that. But Generally speaking, I think it's a pretty poor way to go about this to trade away Joe Tooney if you weren't certain that you were going to do whatever it took to get Trey Smith locked under contract. If not, you could have probably found a way to, and you wouldn't have got a lot, but you could have found a way to sign and trade Trey Smith instead. Or if you weren't going to keep him around, like maybe we don't franchise tag him and we just get this process started earlier. I don't know. It would be a little wonky to not get something done at this point from the Chiefs side of it, especially as long as Trey Smith isn't asking for something ridiculous outside of the realm of being the highest paid offensive guard. If it's not trying to reset the market by 115%, then I don't know what the holdup would be and how the Chiefs found themselves in this position.
I do hope that Slick Rick's right. That would be a big win for the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're looking at the APY sitting out there currently, Landon Dickerson's APY sits at $21 million for the interior offensive line market. The franchise tag that Trey Smith is on currently sits at $23.4 million for this season. Big gap there. If you're adding on years, lot to navigate there. I will say one other thing I was thinking about a little bit with Trey Smith, because placing the franchise tag on him is significant, right? And you're looking at $23.4 million for a 1-year contract. If the Chiefs do kind of take the stance of, if he plays on the tag, this is his last year in Kansas City, that is the last little bit of leverage I think that you might have over Trey Smith if he really does desire to be a Kansas City Chief long term, and he knows that he is going to be moving on somewhere else in 2026, granted on a bigger contract. If he wants to stick around, he's got to come to terms for 2025 and come to terms to a long-term extension now. If you hold that might be the last card that the Chiefs might have. And I could see Trey Smith wanting to be part of this organization long-term. He's good friends with Creed Humphrey. He wins a lot of football games here. I mean, hey, he was getting a commercial with Patrick Mahomes. If you saw some of the behind the scenes, like Trey Smith's in one of these upcoming commercials here with Patrick Mahomes. Like there's some good eats out here in KC. There's some good living out here in KC. Hopefully there's a little bit of hopefully there's a window for this team to kind of come to terms, beat that Landon Dickerson number, and still come into a reasonable deal.
Yeah, I mean, there should be space, and if they aren't willing to do that, if there's not an avenue to doing that, then I don't think they should be in this position that they are right now. They should have never entered this franchise tag song and dance if they weren't if they weren't willing to go, hey, here's Landon Dickerson's contract with, X amount of $50,000 more, whatever it takes to be the highest paid guy, whatever it would take to reset that market realistically. And I would assume you would operate on the percentage of the cap. And I don't know that number, but like whatever that would take, you don't enter this little dance if you're not willing to do it. So if the holdup is the Chiefs not wanting to pay Trey Smith the market value of the highest paid offensive guard and whatever that new number is, then they shouldn't be here. And that is kind of where the process gets a little silly to me if we get to that point. If the issue is Trey Smith wants a significant amount more, then okay, that's fine. I still think the Chiefs probably should have known that before they did this, but that's still what it is. And you get him at least for one more year and you make it work. So we'll have to see how it plays out, I guess, the rest of the way. But I'm not worried at this point in time. I don't think the Chiefs are so inept in the front office that they entered a franchise tag deal situation here without a plan going forward, like without a goal of coming out of it.
Joshua Zilstra asked the question, since KC has the tag accounted for, should they keep his cap number high this year if they do extend him? I don't think they should. Personally, like I think, I think you can figure the math out a lot of different ways. But I do think that they should reduce the cap hit for 2025, spread it out over the life of the contract, and just kind of keep their flexibility there. Like that would be my recommendation, my suggestion. You can. Yeah. Oh, well, and I think one thing is, and it kind of comes out into the wash a little bit for the first 2 years, but I think in 2027, you're going to want additional flexibility. 2028, you're probably going to need a little bit of flexibility for that Trey Smith contract and for all the other stuff that you have to do. I don't think I'd spread them out. I don't think I'd take a big hit now. I think I'd spread it out. over the course of the next few years, and just try to keep it going down the road.
I mean, I'm not, not a super contract guy, so I couldn't tell you the benefits of making it low this first year and what you're going to do with that, like, and how the money works and extending stuff. I will say the Chiefs have enough money in cap space right now that any emergency signing they have to make come cut day or in the middle of the season, if they need it, they should have enough space with over $10 million in cap space. So I don't necessarily see a need to make Trey Smith first year low. If you can get some of that money out of the way, I think that does give you a little bit more flexibility in the back half of the contract. So yeah, I don't see a reason why you need to take his cap hit from 23 million down to 8 million in this first year right now, given where we're at in the season. I mean, I know you can roll it over, but you might as well just get some of that contract money out of the way and save the flexibility for later years where you could still move it.
You lose a little bit of leverage because if your APY for the remainder of the contract is lower, then, you might outplay or be in a position where you have to renegotiate that contract, or the player gets unhappy with the APY. So if you're too upfront with it, you kind of always leave that carrot dangling out there with bigger cap hits over the course of the contract that can potentially align well in year 3. The APY lines up well in year 3, and then maybe year 4 it gets a little bit untenable, and so you have to go back to the negotiating table. The guaranteed money is going to always be something that you pay attention a little bit here too. But one reminder with cap space rolls over. So there's always that too. You're always going to have cap space rolling over. So if the Chiefs do have a lower cap hit for 2025, they get to carry a lot more cap over into 2026, which they're going to need to do because they are currently $37 million over the cap in 2026. But everything that they don't spend in 2025 can go towards 2026, and so on and so forth. All right, let's talk about this New Orleans Saints game from week 5. We are going through every single game of the 2024 season. And we were blessed and lucky to get to watch the week 5 game against the New Orleans Saints this week. Maddie, what were your big takeaways from that game?
That it happened. That game occurred. It was odd because, you see the scoreboard of this game, and the score, and it's oh, the Chiefs won big. It wasn't close. The plays that stick out, or the things that stick out, just thinking about the game, was Juju Smith-Schuster had a big game, stepping in for Rashee Rice at that point in time, and you're oh, they might have somebody that can cover that role. There was obviously the Colin Saunders interception on the in goal line trickery, and I remember Rashid Shaheed burning Brian Cook and then getting hurt very shortly thereafter, which kind of seemed like it took the sails out of the Saints offense. Those are the things that stuck out to me going in, but I still Chiefs won big. Wasn't close. Well, actually, this game was quite close down the stretch. It took the Chiefs really a later game kind of just push of scoring multiple times in a row and some big stops to pull away to make it look like that. This game was relatively tight for a little while. And then they pulled away. So I don't know. I don't know if there was a ton that I really gleaned from this game. I have one thing that I'll save towards the end. So what stuck out from you for it?
I think the game was fake close and is very Kansas City Chiefs of them the way that it played out. Because look, the Chiefs were up 16-7 heading into the half. They get the ball, they miss a field goal, force a punt, get all the way down to the goal line, throw Colin Saunders interception at the goal line to so you leave 10 points off the board right out of the gate in the second half to go up 26-7. Yes, the Saints go and score a touchdown. What do the Chiefs do right afterwards? They respond immediately. They put the ball in the end zone. Kareem Hunt scores a touchdown, a big play from Juju Smith-Schuster on that possession. And then they, go and kick another field goal again. Offensively, it was, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, but outside of the self-inflicted wounds, a lot of meat left on the table. This very easily could have been 36 points. Very easily could have been 36 points against the New Orleans Saints. So I felt like I thought Mahomes had a really good game. I thought he did a lot of really good things in this game. Kareem Hunt had a good performance in this one. I don't know. I felt like there was a lot of meat left on the bone. Spags owns Derek Carr. It was funny to be reminded of that. That was also quite enjoyable. I mean, he was in his bag. I mean, he had Derek Carr's head spinning yet again. That was fun to see. I thought, I don't know. I felt like there was, it was probably one of the better offensive performance for this team, in my opinion, which says a lot about how this season went, but also like, you see the bright spots there too.
Yeah, I see what you're coming from, where it was the Chiefs shooting themselves in the foot cost them a fair amount of points, and that is true. However, I guess like that was very normal for the Chiefs last year. So I don't think I can just like brush that away under the rug as like, oh yeah, no, they left 10 points out there that they should have had because we kind of did that. They kind of did that all year and we talked about it all year. So I guess it's like, if we're spinning it forward, it's the same thing. This team couldn't stay out of their own way. Even when they did start to find rhythms early in the season, there was turnovers and stuff like that. Later in the year, it just was, they weren't as successful as they had been in previous years, putting the ball in the end zone, in the red zone, converting third downs quite as well as they have been in the past. So I don't know. This game just should have been a blowout, right? It ended up being 26-13. But like you said, I think the Chiefs team between 2018 and 2022 does beat this team 36-13. Like, I mean, maybe the defense gives up an extra couple points because they didn't have Spags the whole time, but like, you get my point, right? I think they win bigger, they win easier if this was one of the previous versions of this team, because they did leave a lot out there. The Saints weren't playing great football. So yeah, they could have done, I think, a little bit more in this one. What the big thing that stood out to me is I thought the offensive line played well, especially in run blocking. Pass pro was up and down, but I actually thought the run blocking was very good. And you go look at the stats and like, yeah, there was a lot of yards, I think, that came out of the whole thing, but Mr. Kareem Hunt averaged just under 4 yards per carry. So like, that's not overly enticing. Carson Steele was under 3 yards, but I was watching it and I was like, wow, they're opening up a lot of gaps. They're giving these guys lanes and they're just not doing a good job of maximizing them. They weren't missing the holes. They weren't not hitting the right spot. They just had no juice to make it matter. And so for an offensive line that I don't think always puts their best foot forward as run blockers, like I do think that the offensive line has ups and downs in the run game. I think this game was just a perfect example of the reason they didn't have 200 rushing yards or 150 was the running backs just simply couldn't capitalize on any of it. And I think that's like the biggest issue that keeps showing up with this run game as we go back and watch.
So I had almost an exact same note, and it was basically the running back room is just whelming to bad. Shell. And
yeah,
like,
it wasn't bad. So it'll be there. I would say it wasn't bad. It just wasn't. It was very whelming. It was just very like, yeah, okay, you found the right hole, and then you still got hit at 3 yards and fell straight down. I don't know. It was something.
So. Do you know what the long for a running back was in this game? The longest.
I have
run.
the stats pulled up, but I haven't looked. I'm gonna guess 7 yards.
The longest run was 8 yards. Carson Steele and Kareem Hunt both had a run of 8 yards. And so like positive yards forward, not taking negative plays. That wasn't an issue for this team in this game. It was no explosion out of the running back room. And this was a good Kareem Hunt game.
Yeah.
He
did nothing wrong. That's what I want to be very clear. They did nothing wrong. They executed the plays. They found the right spots. They weren't missing holes. They weren't running into the back of blockers. It's just, yeah, you got the B gap and you did it kind of at the right time, but then everybody converged on you and you could do nothing about it.
And I think, like this running back room, man, like it didn't, like we talked about it. We did an in-depth breakdown. It's not like it's the identity of it's changed all that much. There's some very interesting flyers involved in this running back room now, like Elijah Mitchell, interesting, I think Brashard Smith, interesting. I don't know if it's going to materialize into anything substantial, but it's not like they have these crazy big swings on talent. They're just guys that might fit a niche for this team. And so, yeah, it hasn't mattered all that much, 15-1, blah, 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 but very whelming running back room. And this was a good Kareem Hunt game. Before we move on, we do need to find out from Tucker D. Franklin what the next game that we'll be watching with Craig Stout is on Wednesday. The wheel of names, whatever it is. I do this every single time and I get it wrong every single time. Tucker Franklin, 5 names left, 5 games left. What is it?
Well, I have got to spin the wheel to find out. I don't know.
Okay.
Can't wait till it's a wheel of game. And I hope we still spin it.
Wheel of game. Yes, we
have to spin it.
No, keep going. God bless. I want to make Craig do that week 18 game.
Week 17 at the Steelers. Good game. Fun game.
Christmas Day. of a season of false hopes, this is one of them.
Mesh.
Last time that we saw the starters in a game in the regular season as well. So
Mesh.
we were so close to making Craig watch week 18.
I know. I'm so sad right now.
It's a
Mesh.
bummer. It's okay.
I love how long the week 18 has stayed on the wheel, though. Can I be honest? Like, it could have fallen off pretty easily, pretty quickly. But the fact that it's still on the wheel and it's still a threat is actually hilarious.
You say threat, you mean reward.
I do like that week 18 is just sitting like a cloud over. I do kind of hope it's the last one. I think that'd be hilarious. Joshua Zylstra, because I think if we will be in the preseason or maybe like right before the preseason when we have to watch it. No, never mind. No, we'll be first week of camp when we're having to watch essentially a preseason game. Josh Zylstra asking if you need a Netflix sub to rewatch that game.
Maybe.
I don't think so. I think you can get it on NFL.com. But maybe just try. I might watch it on Netflix just to do it.
When you rewatch games, are you rewatching full things with commentary?
No.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
No, I just thought it'd be funny to watch it on Netflix.
Gotcha.
More than anything. No, I'm not like watching.
You should live tweet it. If you actually should do that. You should do it on Netflix and you should just live tweet it.
I was live tweeting a 1994 game the other day.
Should definitely live tweet. I think that'd be perfect. No, that'd be great.
I don't want to hear Joe Buck anymore, and I have to. We're gonna take a break and we'll be back right after this.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network. Emprise Bank has been with us from the beginning. They were our first network partner, and they believed in the vision of what we were building from the start. I can't speak to any other banks or companies and how they operate, but I can tell you from personal experience and based on the growth of the network you're listening to right now, that if you have banking needs, call our friends at Emprise Bank. We've worked with so many great people there over the years, from Vicky and Aggie to Andrea, Lori, Jackie, Deb, and Aaron, and not to mention so many others that not just supported KC Sports Network, but supported our KCSN Foundation as well. But the best thing that I know is that if I have a question or a problem, no matter how dumb the question is, I know who I'm going to call and who I'm going to talk to, and I know that I'm getting an answer from someone that I can trust, and I know that person is there to help us. That's why Emprise Bank has always been and continues to be our partner in Possible, and they can be yours too. You just have to reach out. If you have a banking need, whether it's business or personal, hit me up. I will connect you directly with the same people that have helped us build KCSN, and that's our friends at Emprise Bank.
Folks, there's nothing that beats relaxing on a hot summer day and watching some baseball. And there's no simpler way to get in on the action than by downloading the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. And the best part, Pick 6 is available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6, and right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Bonus picks expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Appreciate everyone hanging out with us tonight on a Monday in July. You are a real one if you are doing so. We really appreciate that. We are continuing our series talking about the top 10 at different positions in football. And for the sake of all of us, we decided to cluster interior offensive line altogether instead of like breaking out guard and center. So that was this. And I appreciate, Maddie for doing that as well. Maddie, are you okay?
You're welcome. No, I was double checking my list before we started here, and I realized I forgot somebody that belongs in my top 10, I think, and I'm trying to figure out where I slot them on the fly here.
I think you should just maybe give us the top 10 you had, and then like maybe on the fly randomly throw this last person in. I think you should just.
I could just bump off my number 10 and put them there. That would be the safest thing to do. But I really wanted my number 10 there because that's like my calling of the shot guy. That's the guy that like I'm standing on the table for. That I don't think is going to be in your top 10.
Oh,
I'm gonna do it. I got a bold move.
My top 10 is also like that.
So I think this is going to be one where we finally have a lot of differences. I think things have been relatively pretty similar for the most part through the first 3 years, and eyes were almost identical on quarterback. That was crazy. I think this one's going to be a little bit more all over the place, but I'm making a big change right now as we speak. So if anyone's joining us for the first time for these, Kent and I have separately ranked our top 10 interior offensive linemen. We are going to read them going from 10 to 1, but we're kind of breaking it up into tiers as we go. So Kent is going to give me, starting at number 10, whatever his, however many people he wants to in this lowest tier in his top 10.
Yep. All right, fine. I'll start then while you adjust on the fly. All right, I'll call because I'm gonna name my tiers on the fly is what I'm gonna do. I am going to call my first tier, which is a tier of 2.
Okay.
The young centers.
Okay, you got young centers making it into your top 10s. This is interesting because I thought centers was a little light.
It is light, which is why the number 2 and 3 center in football are both 10 and 9 for me.
Okay, I want to hear them because your definition of young maybe threw me off a little bit. So let's go.
Let me see how old Tyler Linderbaum is.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's not
25
old.
years old.
No, he's not old. I guess how long has he been in the league now? He's done 3 years.
I guess he's 2022, so he's due for an extension. But he's
okay,
still on his
that's fine.
Contract.
Okay, who else? You got him at 10?
Oh, I have Zach Frazier. The center for the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 10, and this is my call my shot guy. I think he had a great first
That's a
rookie
call your
season.
shot.
I think he did a tremendous job. And you saw a lot of the things that you liked in college from him translate quite nicely into the National Football League in year 1. I think he has the makings of being one of the best centers in football. So Zach Frazier is number 10, and Tyler Linderbaum is number 9 for me. That's my first tier. It's my young centers.
So I only have 3 total tiers. I found it hard to kind of break interior offensive linemen up much more than 2-3 tiers. Linderbaum was on my list, and I bumped him out actually.
Just now.
He was who I bumped out. And I'll tell you why. I think he's very good player. I think that he can be overwhelmed one-on-one in pass pro because he just lacks size and strength compared to NFL defensive tackles. And I do think as a run blocker, those same limitations show up. Not as much, and he's an amazing zone blocker. He's arguably the best or second best center at getting out in space now without Jason Kelce. So like there's clearly some ups there, but I do think that it's very specific for him on where he's excellent and where he's like, okay. So I just bumped him out. He was actually 8 though. I bumped him down a couple spots because I like my other 2 guys' versatility better. So number 10, I call my shot guy, Sam Cosmi, the Washington Commanders. Tricky though, because he's hurt now. That's why it's kind of like I had to keep him at 10. But you go back and watch. I thought he was phenomenal last year, kicking into guard. It was huge for Washington to lose him there when they did late in the season. Or was it in the playoffs? He was doing great. I think if you look at interior offensive linemen in the league right now, most of the guys that I think we see in the top 10 are going to be better run blockers than pass protectors. And that's not the case with Cosmi. I think he's good at both, but he's one of the better pass protectors on the interior. He just kind of has that natural feel, obviously from playing tackle in college. So he's at number 10. I got Trey Smith at number 9. This is why I wanted to save some of my conversations about him. I have him at number 9. I think we'll talk about him more in the Chiefs part after this. I just will say, I think he has a chance to be even higher if he didn't play for an Andy Reid offense that does not maximize his strengths. And then number 8, this is the guy I had to put on there, Elgton Jenkins of the Green Bay Packers. I forgot about him entirely initially. So I had to slide him in there because not only has this guy successfully played every offensive line position so far in the NFL, but when you just put him at guard, he's been an all-pro caliber guy. He's been phenomenal playing guard. I think he does a little bit of everything. I think this year he's going to be a full-time center. we will have to see. I just wanted to get him on the list before he maybe takes a step back playing a new position. But I think Jenkins belonging here in the top 10 I felt better about him than Linderbaum, just with his versatility to do everything.
I like it. All right, so I'll give you my next tier. And you know what? I'll keep it as 3 tiers as well. I will just classify it as elite guards. How about that? Because I think the rest of this is just elite guards. So at number 8, I have Tyler Smith.
Okay.
At number 7, I have Kevin Dotson. At number 6, I have Landon Dickerson. At number 5, I have Quentin Nelson. At number 4, I have Joe Thuney. And at number 3, I have Quinn Miners. Now, you're looking at this and you're saying there's only 2 players left that I haven't announced, and you have not heard Trey Smith's name, and Trey Smith was right on the fringe here.
I was like, he's not on your list.
He's not on my list. And I think he's really close. Like, I think Kevin Dotson has been like a slightly better version of Trey Smith to this point. I think it would be my kind of case there.
Yeah.
I think Tyler Smith, I think especially, in his zone scheme, like he's incredible. I love Tyler Smith. And so like Trey Smith is like right on the list. So I had a T Smith on there. I had Tyler Smith instead of Trey Smith. But Trey Smith was right outside. I'll tell you about my bubble group here in a little while too. Cause like I have some fun names. I had a harder time with this list. My list was I almost went with Sam Cosmi too, but I kind of got rid of him because of the injury stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't have Elkton. I didn't
have him on there either. And it felt like 2 years ago, he was a really hot commodity talking best interior offensive lineman. And then they've had to shuffle so many things in there in Green Bay, and he's dealt with some injuries. So I get why he'd fall down. And maybe I'm still holding on to that previous thoughts of him, but I had to slip him in there. I have another 4-man grouping here. These are all guards as well. I got Landon Dickerson at 7, Quinn Miners at 6.
Can you stay in the mic, please? Because I feel like the audio listeners are gonna.
I gotta look at my list. I got Quentin Nelson at 5, so same spot there, and then I have Tyler Smith at number 4. To your point about Dotson kind of being like Trey Smith, only better. I think that's been Tyler Smith. I think like Trey Smith. I mean, they're T Smiths. They do a lot of the same stuff. I do think that Dallas puts Tyler Smith in position to be a downhill, powerful player better than the Kansas City Chiefs do. And I think that lets him shine. Dotson, I kept off my list because I agree with you that he's been more effective, but it feels like he's not the same level of athlete as these two guys are. And yet he is just given the free reign to, hey, they're the Rams. They're going to run duo. They're going to run power over and over again. So yeah, he's only being used to his strengths. He's not really being challenged outside of that very specific wheelhouse. That's why he missed out. But Tyler Smith, same conversation kind of for that whole part. So only Dotson's the guy that you have in there that I don't have at all from that big list there.
Yeah. I mean, Dotson's, he's outside the top 6. I mean, he's, there's a lot of arguments I think you can make for a lot of guys. So there's 5 that I haven't, anyways, my final 2, top tier. I don't know what to call it.
Cool.
Number 2 is Creed Humphrey.
Ooh.
Number 1 is Chris Lindstrom.
Okay.
Guard for Atlanta. I'm trying to be measured. I'm trying not to be too much of a homer here. I think positional value just with the guard gave me just a small bump for Lindstrom, who's incredible to watch. Very good football player. Watch him against Chris Jones. Watch him against Chris Jones this last season. It was a good battle between those two. And then I think Creed, he's the number 2 guy on this list for me. They're in the top tier. I gave the positional value just a slight edge with Chris Lindstrom.
So my final tier is 3 guys. I got Joe Thuney at number 3. I got Chris Lindstrom at number 2 and Creed Humphrey at number 1. I think Thuney's still hanging in there in this elite tier, and I almost did move him back to the others. But when you just put Thuney at guard, he is so sound. He is so technically sound. Nothing like, everything is right on cue. He does everything exactly that he's supposed to. I'm going to switch this over so you can see my list too if you are watching. So yeah, it's not going to set up yet. But everybody that he does, he's always so good. So Tooney hung on there. I put Creed Humphrey over Lindstrom. I know you said why you went with Lindstrom was because of positional value. I went Creed Humphrey because if you look around the league at the centers, not a single center holds a candle to Creed Humphrey in pass pro. When he is one-on-one with defensive tackles, it doesn't happen a lot as a center. You can protect it. But when he does get one-on-one, there's no other center that can handle that. Whereas there are other guards that I think can at least give you close to what Lindstrom does. So I think it's like the scarcity, how few guys can do what Creed Humphrey does stood out to me. So I gave him the top mark here.
Fair. I mean, I'm not gonna argue too hard against it. I mean, like I had a clear list of 2. Like I think those were like the clear 2, and I didn't have to think too hard about it. And then outside of that, I put Miners over Tooney for me. And Tooney, I mean, I love it's just the age thing starting to hit, and you need to judge him off the end. It's kind of tough because you got to judge him on the end of last season. I think the last few games he played guard were Joe Tooney level play. I think early on, like he had a few struggles here or there, but like I think it was just some injury related stuff. You saw him kind of coming back strong and then having to kick out to tackle.
Yeah, he's not what he once was physically, right? And so I think we've seen it the last couple of times early in the year. It's taken him a little bit of time to get back in the flow and be like, okay, I'm a completely positional based blocker now. And to be fair, that's been Tooney's game his entire career, right? Like he's never been a physically dominant player, but he's always had the quickness, that grip strength, and everything like that to stay in front of guys just based purely on the athleticism too, whereas he's losing that a little bit. So when a guy does beat him with hand placement or leverage, he has to fight a little bit more or he gives up a little bit more space. But I think you see as the year goes on, he gets better in those regards. So I still have him hanging on that top tier. I do think I probably could have either bumped him down or put him in his own tier because I do think there is a little gap between Lindstrom and Humphrey and where he's at right now. I think it's the first time in a while where we've probably had a very clear, here's the best center, here's the best guard in the NFL, and I don't even know if there's much of like a conversation to be had about it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think those 2 are kind of sit very clearly atop. Let me give you my list of like players I thought about.
Okay.
And some of these are like I wanted to be spicy, Kevin Zeitler, but Kevin Zeitler had a good year with the Lions, gonna be older, and like I did kind of bake age a little bit into it too, right? Like there's a little bit of age bias here with some of my decision making. Robert Hunt also just got some consideration as well. Trey Smith, I think, was like 11 for me, and I just decided to try to not be a homer a little bit. And then here's the 2 names like that I think deserve some consideration. Elijah Vera Tucker, New York Jets. Dominic Pooney, San Francisco 49ers. Like I think those are 2 players that we could be having the conversation, especially as some of these older guards start to fall off a little bit. I think Elijah Vera Tucker and Dominic Pooney are 2 players that could wind up getting the nod if we were to do something like this time next year.
I think I'm a little slower to hand the reins over to young, like 1 year interior offensive linemen, because I think you can protect them a lot. And without going back and watching every single game, I don't get a good feel on how much they're actually being asked to do. So like with Pooney, with Frazier, I just have like slight reservations like, hey, are they getting a little bit more protection from the scheme than other guys that have been around longer? So I just want to see him do it a little bit more, but I get it. Elijah Vera Tucker and the other guy that were on the outside of mine besides Linderbaum, who I had just bumped out, Eric McCoy, the center for the Saints. And the reason Vera Tucker and McCoy had to be bumped out is I mentioned Elgton Jenkins injuries. Those guys are more injured than him. And like, they just really struggled to stay on the field, right? Jenkins at least plays a lot, even if banged up. So Vera Tucker, Eric McCoy, both very good guys. You're just probably not getting a full season from them.
Best ability is availability. Am I right?
All right. I'm going to read my 10 through 1, and then you can do the same afterwards. As you can see here, if you are watching right now or later on, if you're listening, I'm going to go nice and slow. Number 10, Sam Cosmi of the Washington Commanders. Number 9, Trey Smith of your Kansas City Chiefs. Number 8, Elgton Jenkins of the Green Bay Packers. 7, Landon Dickerson, Philadelphia Eagles. Number 6, Quinn Miners, blocking trees for the Denver Broncos. Number 5, Quentin Nelson of the Indianapolis Colts. Number 4, Tyler Smith of the Dallas Cowboys. 3, Joe Tooney, traded to the Chicago Bears. 2, Chris Lindstrom of the Falcons. And number 1, Creed Humphrey of your Kansas City Chiefs.
Number 10 for me was Zach Frazier, Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 9, Tyler Linderbaum, the center for the Baltimore Ravens. Number 8 was Tyler Smith with the Dallas Cowboys. Number 7, Kevin Dotson, Los Angeles Rams. Number 6, Landon Dickerson, Philadelphia Eagles. Man, I really wanted him coming out. Number 5 was Quentin Nelson, Indianapolis Colts. Number 4, Joe Tooney, the Mackley Hill Award winner as the top player for the Kansas City Chiefs, was then traded to the Chicago Bears. Number 3, Quinn Miners. Number 2, Creed Humphrey, your Kansas City Chiefs. And number 1 was Chris Lindstrom, the guard for the Atlanta Falcons. Talk about
2
Chiefs
questions
in the
for you.
rank. Okay.
1, where would Frank Ragnow have landed on here had he not just retired for you?
Great question. 6 or 7, probably.
Okay. I think I honestly might have had him right there with Tooney in my elite tier. I think he was clearly the second best center in the NFL at this point in time. And so I would have had him really high. I just didn't know how high or low you would be on him. He would have he probably would have been 3 or 4 for me had he not retired. So that was question 1. Question 2, how many guards were in your list? 8?
7.
7. You have 7 guards ranked higher than Trey Smith. Why should the Chiefs make him the highest paid guard in the NFL?
I mean, because there's 2 guards on the football, so he's number 8 for me. And that's still an elite guard, in my opinion. You're a top 4 at your position, roughly. So, you should still pay him. And I think he has a lot of intangible value to this organization. Keep the continuity together. Is he a blue chip player? Yes. Are the Chiefs going to have the luxury of finding and collecting blue chip players? No. Pay your blue chips. Pretty simple.
So I think that do we need to talk more about Creed Humphrey on this list with 1 and 2, or do you think that the Creed Humphrey conversation's kind of solidified and we can talk about more Smith? Go ahead if we need to talk about Creed Humphrey.
I do have one question about this Chief in the ranking here. So I saw this today. Davis Matic said, assuming every player is at their athletic peak, which NFL player would win a game of 11 versus 11 football if all teams were made up of 22 clones of the same guy? Josh Norris posted a picture of Creed Humphrey. Do you think that's real?
No.
That would be hilarious. I would love to see it.
Well, so here's the thing. I've seen some people throw out some names. Who's your answer for the question? Now you got to such. Who would you build 11 players of?
I haven't thought too much about it, but Micah Parsons.
He'd be up there. I think
Myles Garrett would be up there.
I don't know if Garrett would have the speed for every team, but yeah, he's consideration. I think Parsons over Garrett for this. Here's the one thing that stuck out to me. I've seen some people say George Kittle, and I agree. George Kittle's a very good one. Oh, I think Kittle's a great one. The thing is, we don't know how any of these guys could throw a football. If you could weasel someone that could throw a football into this, that changes the game. But the only quarterback that we know that could throw is Josh Allen, right? And that could handle the physical elements of playing in the trenches would be Josh Allen. No other quarterback could be a trench player besides him. So he's an interesting one. But then I thought about it. A team of Josh Allen's is never stopping a team of Trent Williams's. Ever.
No.
0 chance.
No. I
mean, it's matchup dependent, I guess. But I don't know. I think you rolled your eyes. I think Kittle's a good one. I think prime Kelsey would have been great because I know he can throw a football, but he's not prime Kelsey anymore. So out of players right now, Kittle or Parsons are probably my 1-2.
And when you say, real quick, sorry, I'm curious, this whole Trent Williams, Josh Allen conversation.
Yeah.
Because I think Josh Allen could scramble enough to throw it to Josh Allen over the top of Trent Williams.
Sure. No, they can definitely do that. But all it takes is one drive for that not to end in a touchdown for the Josh Allen team, and it's done because they're never stopping a team of Trent Williams from running the ball. It takes one time for the Trent Williams team to get a sack, to Josh Allen not get away. It takes one time for the pass, one drive of errant passes for the Trent Williams team to get a stop. Josh Allen's aren't stopping. They're not even stopping a team of Creed Humphreys. Josh Allen's, you know what I mean? So I get where people would go with the quarterback aspect, but I don't think a team of any quarterbacks would be stopping ever stop a team of linemen. They would have to win on a shootout, and I just think the team of linemen would score every single time.
I think Myles Garrett. I think it might be Myles Garrett.
He's a good one. And Myles Garrett's a super athlete. He's 270 pounds. If Micah Parsons can hold up enough in the trenches against him, I think there's a severe open field advantage for a Parsons or even a Kittle. I think there's an open field advantage there if they can do just enough. Like the trench gap might be close enough.
I think so like Myles Garrett versus Micah Parsons. You might go Micah, but Micah might be the only one that can beat Myles, and Myles probably beats everyone else.
I think you're sleeping on Kittle. You don't like him. Craig doesn't like him. I judge by his tight end rankings, but I think y'all are sleeping on George Kittle, who can effectively block occasionally defensive ends, which is what we're talking about here. No, is Myles Garrett going to tee off on him for the majority for a game? Yes, but could George Kittle block Myles Garrett 10 times in a game? Sure. And like at this point, that's what we're kind of talking about. So I don't know. I think we're sleeping on an athletic tight end that has shown the ability to be very physical. The
whiniest team would be Jamar Chase's. That's an arguable.
Which Chiefs player would put out the best team right now? Because it's not Kelsey anymore.
Chris Jones.
You think so? It's Leo Chenal's, isn't it?
Leo's a good one. I don't know.
The Chiefs don't have great ones. I concur. Hey, listen, if you listen to Travis Kelce, apparently Josh Simmons can play defensive end, so maybe it's Josh Simmons.
Creed. Maybe it is just Creed.
Maybe it might be. I mean, Trey Smith's pretty freakishly athletic too. I think we also forget that with Creed. Like Creed's a super athlete. Trey Smith's pretty freakishly athletic. But yeah, I don't know. The Chiefs don't have a top tier one anymore without Kelce being in his prime. I don't think.
This is I could go down a serious rabbit hole with this one.
Yeah, I want to go talk about Trey Smith some more. So we're gonna go back. Creed Humphrey's at 1 or 2 in the elite tier for both of us. I don't think there's much that needs to be said about it at this point. You know, he's good at run blocking. He's good at pass protection. He kind of does
Dexter
it all.
Lawrence.
That's a lot of beef. Vita Vea is a team of Vita Veas.
Oh. See, I feel like you could. Here's the thing: you could quick game a Vita Vea team, and I think you could quick game a Trent Williams, and then you are still open field.
Buddy, have you seen Trent Williams pull?
It doesn't matter. He's not getting out. He's not getting out. He's not getting out to the flat. He's not covering the slant. I'm sorry. And you've got a space problem. You have the space problem immediately on slant flat. Shotgun. Do a 9-yard shotgun. Long snap it and throw a slant. Like I'm telling you, you can buy time against Trent Williams.
I think you are underestimating the 10-yard split of a Trent Williams to make an impact on one drive a game, and you're never stopping him. Even still, let's say Trent Williams doesn't stop you. You're not stopping him. So you're just praying that you get the ball last. You're never stopping him with Josh Allen.
Do you not think
you're never stopping him with Josh Allen?
You're only running the ball, so you're loading the box.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
You're gonna throw 11. You're gonna throw 11 in the box. You're gonna shoot a gap,
and they are gonna get absolutely steamrolled. They are never stopping them for less than 3.5 yards per run play.
All it takes is
not
a
negative. Single time. They won't.
You don't even have to pretend to worry about the run or the pass.
You don't know that. I've seen Penei Sewell catch a pass. I've seen Andrew Wiley catch a pass.
You haven't seen Penei Sewell catch a snap and then Penei Sewell throw a ball to Penei Sewell.
I think that you are severely underrating the fact that Trent Williams would take Josh Allen and take every Josh Allen on the field back 10 yards in the blink of an eye, every single play.
But you still have to account +1 for the quarterback.
The quarterback's going to truck him because it's the most freaky offensive tackle that's ever played the game.
When you watch an offensive lineman run the football, they go down so quickly when you go for the ankles. And all it takes is one negative play to kill it.
You're not going to get him in a negative play.
I think you
will. Blown off you're getting blown off the ball. You're going to have to be corner blitzing and hope you pick the right side every single time, and that's not a side that's picked up. The free guy's going to be on the backs.
You have to guess wrong every time.
Your free player's coming off the backside. Done. We're QB sneaking down the field. We're doing the tush push all the way down the field. You're never stopping it. You're going to be dead after 3 plays. You were talking about body blows? Your Josh Allen teammate making it out of the first quarter.
The QB sneak argument is a good one. That's the first
whole
argument you made about this.
You're speaking so quarterback laden that you were downplaying literally one of the freakiest players to ever touch a football field and think that they could not run over.
You're talking about 35-year-old version of him.
So it's not even close.
Panay Sewell's
Now,
a good one.
Could they do Myles Garrett? No, probably not, because Myles Garrett could win enough, but they would beat the quarterback team. That's my point. They would beat the quarterback team. No questions. Anyhow, we need to talk about Trey Smith.
Fine.
We can bring this up with Craig because he'll be on my side. I see Tucker behind the scenes and he's disgusted.
He's nodding his head the whole time.
He is disgusted by your stance on this, as he should be. So
the
Trey
QB
Smith
sneak,
for me,
the QB sneak was a good argument, finally.
I put Trey Smith at number 9. Of course you like that because it said the word QB. I put Trey Smith at 9. And if he played for the Rams or the Cowboys or a team that would lean into a downhill rushing attack, specifically gap scheme, I think he would climb this board so fast. The problem is he doesn't. He plays for the Chiefs, who not only don't run enough gap scheme to, showcase what he does best, but they also don't have like an aggressive run scheme. They very much are a space-based blocking team. All their designs, even their gap stuff is kind of like, how do we get the right angles rather than how do we physically dominate guys? He plays next to Juwan Taylor, who doesn't help provide a lot of pop in the run game. So it's just, I don't think Trey Smith is well used in KC. Not a bad fit. He's just not well used in Kansas City. So I don't know if while he's here, you'll ever see him at his fullest potential, which is rough. Because like I said, I think he could climb way up if they used him differently. I just don't think Andy Reid will ever run that type of offense.
Do you think with the changing of the guard, literally, with Joe Tooney and Kingsley Suamataia, who could possess some physical ability to move people the same way Trey Smith does, do you think that there is at least a little bit of glimmer of hope that maybe they lean into the gap stuff a little bit more in 2025 with the pairing of guards that they have?
No. I don't think that's how they coach. I don't think that's what they coach. I don't think that's what they focus. No, I don't think it's what they focus on. All of their camps are passing camps. Their run stuff comes during team drills. Number one. Number two, look at who else is there. Juwan Taylor, he's not a power blocker. Creed Humphrey, great run blocker. I wouldn't classify him as a power blocker, though. He's a athletic, get to the right spot blocker. Even Kingsley's not a power blocker. Does he have power in his hands? Yes, but he's not a power blocker. Josh Simmons, not a power blocker. Like, they have one power blocker on their team, and they don't even and they don't emphasize it. So it's just it's not bad. It's just unfortunate. Because you go back to when the Chiefs were good at running short yardage stuff, it was always behind Trey Smith because he was the guy that would create the movement. And they would a lot of times pull Tooney around because it's about finding the right guy, finding the right angle, getting the right hip position. But they would let Trey Smith be the guy that just creates the space. That's good to have. So I get why the Chiefs want someone that can do that. But in terms of the grand scheme, I just don't see them ever heavily leaning. I don't see Andy Reid ever going full Sean McVay and go, hey, we're going to run duo 300 times this year and run zone only 80 times. I just don't ever see that switch coming for him, nor do I even see them being an aggressive zone running team. So it feels like having Trey Smith in Kansas City is a little bit of wasting of what he does best and and asking him to do what he struggles the most with most often.
I'm always going to hold out a little bit of hope because I honestly Kingsley out and watching Kingsley pull and stuff, we talked about it in college, very impressive movement skills. I actually think he has the frame and ability to be a more of a power blocker from the guard position, from the guard alignment than we've seen to this point. I think there's a little bit more hope that he has the ability to do that.
I hope he's a dog.
We're going to find out when he has to play along the interior this year is what we're going to find out. We're going to find out a lot about Kingsley Suamataia this year. And who knows? If he's good, maybe one day he'll be in the rankings. That would be great for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Let's see this. Yeah, WPS Chief here. Yeah, you're right. I did give them a lower gas station rating, but I'm higher on Trey Smith because for this exercise, I'm just trying to rank the players in a vacuum. The gas station scale thing for me was about how the unit plays for the Chiefs, right? If that makes sense. So Trey Smith in a vacuum, I think is better than where it seems like Kent thinks he is. But for the Chiefs specifically, I think having to play in all that negative space next to Juwan Taylor, that's not a shot at Taylor. It's just they don't mesh well. It's hard for him. And then you pair that with, hey, here's all of our zone blocking stuff. Just go get into the right spot. That's not how Trey Smith plays, or at least that's not where he's at his best. So I'm higher on the player than I am the fit with KC. I also understand why the Chiefs want to keep him because he's the only guy that brings what he does.
There was some, speaking of Juwan Taylor, that Saints game, there was some rough Juwan Taylor moments in that one too. Yeah, we'll see. I don't want to get too far. I don't want to get too far. That not rabbit hole. Potential changes in 2025. Like I think we've talked about a few of them. Like I think there's a young group of guards that has a chance to kind of climb these rankings. I could see some of these older players start to fizzle out a little bit. Like Quentin Nelson. He's not like old, but like a Quentin Nelson and a Joe Tooney. You could see guys like them kind of starting to fall off a little bit. I mean, Quentin Nelson's had his injury issues as well. And I think there's a young wave of players in Elijah Vera Tucker, Dominic Pooney, Trey Smith could all climb the rankings.
You had some young guys on your list that I think could definitely get like a solidify a spot in there. That's really where I want to talk about Trey Smith was like, I think he could be a guy that rises up ranks to this upcoming year. I don't necessarily foresee the Chiefs changing what they do, but if there is even a small shift or if, hey, he could also just play better than he did last year. Right. And if that is the case, he can find himself going up a little bit more. So there's definitely some guys ready to jump up this list. And Trey Smith is one of them. Like I have him towards the back end of mine. You have him just on the outside. And I think there's every bit of the possibility that he solidifies a top 10 spot, even in the upper, maybe not the upper half, but around the middle of the top 10 after the season.
I think it's entirely reasonable. And that's why the Chiefs should pay him this week. Pay him this week. And then we can go breaking news team and Tucker can wear a blazer and we can have a great time. Breaking news team in July would hit different. I think Tucker should get a drink with an umbrella and a straw for a July breaking news team is what he should do.
I think he should have an outside setup with a kiddie pool and he should just be sitting in it.
Oh yeah. I think there should be a breaking news team and then just in like a little caption underneath in summer. Or like summertime above breaking news team. And then it's him just in a pool. I'll join from a pool if it's like after work. I'll do it from a pool. We're going to workshop this. That's going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later. Golf tournament, by the way.
Ain't no quarterback stopping Trent Williams.